Hello and welcome. My name is Machiavelli, and here are my picks for UFC 315. Benoit Saint-Denis versus Kyle Prepolek. Okay, so initially I was set on picking Joel Alvarez to win this fight. The odds reflected that he was a big favorite. I was going to say he will probably get it done by finish, but Alvarez pulled out of the fight. He's injured or something, so the UFC scrambled to rush and get this guy in, this reject who lost his only 2 UFC fights and was cut from the promotion years ago. Benoit apparently said no to fighting Gamrot on short notice, and honestly I kind of don't blame him because he's currently on a 2-fight losing streak, and I would bet he wants to take this moment extremely seriously, get back on the winning track, because he is pretty close to getting cut from the UFC at this point. I'm not going to sit and act as if I watched any tape on Prepolek or I'm familiar with this game, because I'm really not. If Benoit can't get past this guy who is stepping in on last minute notice and win, then we just figured out that BSD was never that guy. He's not UFC ready, and he was just a hype train that was pushed too soon to the big leagues. Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. Alright, I won't overthink this. I think Silva gets this done. Probably a fairly unanimous decision. I don't really see any finishing potential here. Right, this is WMMA, so I'm not really sure how much I really care or will be paying attention to this, let alone any of you. With that said, Alexa was a champion, and I guess you can say, oh, she has decent boxing, she trains with Diego Lopez and all that stuff. And a part of me thinks that we can find ourselves in a situation where Alexa becomes a bit of a gatekeeper in this division, in the sense that she keeps winning all these fights against these young contenders only to keep losing to the champion. We've seen this before with the Adesanya Whitaker type situation, but here I go, start overthinking this fight. I think Silva's gonna get it done, solely because she's younger, she's a bit more consistent in her performances, and while she's not too active, I think it's just her time. This fight's probably not going to be that exciting. I expect a decision, maybe some boos in the crowd, and it might be a little bit disappointing for Alexa Grasso, because then people are going to say, oh, wait a second, wasn't this girl just champion? I was just saying that, so if it becomes a disappointing performance on her end, we'll just question everything, like, oh, how did this skill set become world champion at one point? But who cares? Let's just move on. Jose Aldo versus Ayman Zahabi. Alright, here's another set of fights that absolutely no one asked for on this stunning and stacked pay-per-view main card. We got the former champion Aldo, who will be facing off against Ayman Zahabi, brother of Firas Zahabi, but looks like he could be the twin of Ariel Helwani. Unless Aldo gets pressed against the fence, smudged and clinched the entire time, I think he's going to win. Aldo's a champion, he's had decades of experience just constantly winning. And Ayman, he's pretty inactive himself and not that dangerous. So I think Aldo can quite easily school and style on him. But we've seen the way Aldo lost, the way with Mario Bautista. He just lets himself get held up against the cage. So I'm a little bit worried on that, and I feel like Ayman Zahabi is going to take a page from Merab's book in that sense and try and just make it a very boring fight. I do expect this fight to be a little bit boring, but I think Aldo can manage to read the room, so to speak, and he might go for a vintage-esque performance and go for a finish. But who knows? These two are both old men. They are both just here for a paycheck. At least Aldo is. He's getting paid at least a good 6 figures to show up. So either way, he is content with just his presence alone. But this is actually kind of a winnable fight for him, so I'm going with Aldo to win. Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiora. The UFC did Manon dirty, I won't lie. I feel as though I was one of the few people rooting for her and defending her during her come up during some of her initial UFC fights. I definitely saw some skill there and some things that I liked that could have given Valentina some problems. So I do like her chances to win, competitively speaking. The thing is, she's in her 30s now, so it has to be now or never. The UFC kind of made her take the long path to the title. I believe Manon should have already fought for the belt like a year ago, at least coming off the Rose Namajunas win. Oh, but they made her fight Erin Blanchfield for the #1 contender spot because, you just have to give Erin the shot. Right, I was calling it even back then that Manon should have fought for the belt and that she would have easily schooled Blanchfield, to which she did. But I digress. Manon's been sitting out for over a year at this point for her title shot. And I think that inactivity is going to come back and bite her. As we know, Valentina is a very experienced champion with several title defenses and years under her resume holding the belt. She is coming off her trilogy with Alexa Grasso, winning the trilogy. So now she is back on her title winning ways, her new title reign. And while, of course, we have seen Valentina lose, there are holes for her opponents to pick at. It's just Valentina is able to impose her will. She's a more dominant force and just confident in her skill set. So while I think Manon can definitely leave somewhat of a good account of herself, I simply think she will be outskilled and brought to a decision loss by Valentina. This would be really nothing to see. Just a unanimous decision, standard win from the Bullet, as we have seen. Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. Okay, so I know that some of you are coping right now and trying to hype up Jack, trying to say all the ways that he can win. And yes, we know he's got good striking, he could definitely catch Belal, and he could do something wild and get a finish. But I think we can all agree that that is the only way Jack can win this fight. I think Belal Muhammad is going to win by a unanimous decision. Shocker, right? Going a little bit more in depth, I will say that Belal as a champion, he is a little bit underrated. Now, I wouldn't say he's overhated because he gets just the right amount of hate. Maybe not enough. I'm pretty sure I don't have to explain this. We know how this goes. Belal Muhammad, Thunder Thumbs himself, goes on social media and says all this stuff. Oh, this guy has better striking than Canelo. Okay, sure. He's going to gaslight everyone into believing that's the case. Then by the time the first bell rings, he's going to push Jack against the fence and take him down. We hear Belal Muhammad is trying to get the finish. He actually means a 25-minute decision. I will say just one thing though. Despite his performances, this guy does come in to win every single time, regardless of how people feel about it. Unlike some champions, Belal Muhammad will actually pull up. He will take the short notice call and fight during Ramadan. He won't stop his fast. He won't make any excuses and say that he's dehydrated and fasting, whatever. He just shows up, makes weight, and fights. I know people like to say, oh, Dilbert was injured, he was way too active that year, and that's true, but at a certain point, I don't really buy that excuse, because Dilbert did say yes to the fight, and Belal pretty much shut him down. So I'll say that apart from the Leon Edwards win, that is probably his best performance. Just one thing, I know I am on an uphill battle here, but that Sean Brady win, it is way too overhyped. I know, it's Belal Muhammad's first, one of his only finishes that he's had in recent years, but if I'm keeping it honest, I really think that performance was more of a testament to how bad Sean Brady is rather than how good Bilal Muhammad is. Like, how the hell do you get standing TKO'd by that guy? Whatever, man. I'm already getting too out of track with this. I don't really care either way. So, we know how this is going to go. Bilal's going to just get the decision win. He's going to pretty much smudge against Jack and make him feel helpless, because you know that Jack is just a striker. He has some type of getup, but if the wash Dilbert is able to hold him down for even a few moments, then we know Bilal's going to. He is way too good and strong to let someone like Jack get up. Alright, in conclusion, these will be my picks for UFC 315. I'm sure you could tell I am not really too excited or hyped at all for this card. I didn't put too much thought or effort into my picks, but to be fair, neither did the UFC when they were making this card. So, it is what it is. Only Kute Lava can now save this card. Maybe the power of hindsight could make this card redeemable. Maybe there'll be finishes. But if I'm honest with you, I may or may not just end up falling asleep during the card. I will certainly be paying attention to the championship fights, but more likely I'll just get the highlights the morning after. With all that said, if anyone is still here watching, I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all of your engagement, and while this card is definitely not hyped, there's no enthusiasm here. Maybe the next few cards could be good. Maybe I'll come back with some better picks and some actual analysis, but it seemed like Uncle Fester is out here promoting some boxing fights when instead he should be promoting the UFC, giving us the fights we really want to see. I'm sure that several other YouTubers have made a point or talked about it in some manner, so I won't beat a dead horse. I think I'll just sign out. If you're all here, thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more. Take care.